Welcome to the Nameless.
The ink on the last name was still wet. It was written in my handwriting, and I hadn't even signed it yet. I was standing at the front desk of a motel that had officially closed in 1998. At least that's what the sign out front said. The letters were sun-bleached, almost white. Vacant NCY. The A had fallen off years ago. The office windows were filmed over with dust so thick it turned the afternoon light gray. I hadn't meant to stop there. I was driving east through Nevada, cutting across a forgotten stretch of highway that doesn't even show up unless you zoom in. The kind of road that used to matter, back when people drove more and flew less, back when towns survived our passing traffic. Now it was just asphalt and heat. My car had been making a faint ticking sound for the last hour. Not alarming, just there, persistent enough to get inside your head. I told myself I'd pull over at the next gas station. There wasn't one. There was just the motel. Single story, L-shaped.
20 rooms, maybe. All the curtains drawn. A drained-out swimming pool in the middle of the courtyard, filled with wind-blown sand. The sign near the office door read, "Closed until further notice." The notice felt permanent. But the parking lot had fresh tire tracks in the dust. That's what made me stop. I told myself it was probably a groundskeeper, or someone using the lot to turn around. I wasn't nervous, just curious, and I needed a break from the road. When I stepped out of the car, the air felt heavier than it had a second earlier. Still hot, still dry, just thicker. The office door was unlocked. It swung open without resistance. Inside, it smelled like paper and something faintly metallic. Not rust, not blood, just old air. The furniture was still there. The counter, the rack of brass keys hanging behind it, a corkboard with yellowed brochures pinned in place, a calendar on the wall flipped to August 1998. No dust on the counter. That was the second thing I noticed.
The third was the Guestbook. It sat open near the register, a thick ledger, cloth-bound, the kind that hotels used before everything went digital. I stepped closer. The pages near the front were faded and brittle, names written in different inks, different handwriting styles, dates from the early 90s, then 1997, then 1998. The last entry before a long blank stretch was September 12, 1998. Then nothing, until this year. The page I was looking at had dates from 2 weeks ago, then last week, then yesterday. Names, addresses, signatures, all written in the same pen. I touched the ink of the last name. It smeared, still wet. It was written in my handwriting, and I hadn't even signed it yet. For a long time, I just stared at it. It wasn't an exact copy, not like someone had traced my driver's license. It had my specific habits, the way I hook the tail of my Y, the slight tilt to the right when I rush. It was my name, dated tomorrow. I flipped back a page. Different names.
But the handwriting felt familiar, not identical, consistent, like one person trying very carefully to write as other people. I checked the pen lying next to the book. It was warm. That didn't make sense. There was no electricity running to the building. The overhead lights didn't respond when I flipped the switch. The old desktop computer behind the counter was beige and dead. I told myself the warmth was from the heat. The office had probably baked all day. Still, I stepped back outside. The parking lot was empty except for my car. No other vehicles, no movement, no sound, except the faint hum of wind sliding across the highway. I almost left then, but I didn't, because I wanted to prove something to myself. I walked along the row of rooms. Room 1, room 2, room 3, every door locked, until room 14. The handle turned. The room smelled clean. Not fresh, not recently cleaned, just unused. The bed was made tight. The TV was the old boxy kind with rabbit ear antennas.
The bathroom mirror had no dust on it. There was a key on the nightstand, brass, stamped with the number 14. I picked it up. It was warm, too. I checked the mattress under the sheets. No stains, no impressions. But when I opened the drawer in the bedside table, there was a folded piece of paper inside. It was a receipt, dated today. My name printed across the top. Room 14. Paid in cash. I don't carry cash. I stood there longer than I should have. The logical explanations lined up neatly. Someone messing with me. An elaborate prank. A squatter with too much time. Maybe I'd been here before and forgotten. Maybe this was all a stress response from driving too long. I hadn't been sleeping well lately. That's what I told myself. I went back to the office and took out my phone. No service. That didn't surprise me. I'd lost signal miles back. I tried taking photos anyway. The guest book. The page with my name. The receipt. My phone glitched when I opened the camera.
The screen froze for a second. Then it restarted. Battery at 72%. It had been at 83% when I parked. I don't remember checking it, but I knew it had been higher. I tried again. The photos saved this time. At least I thought they did. I got back in my car and drove 10 miles down the road before I pulled over to check them. Every image was black. Not blurry, not overexposed, just black. The timestamps were correct. The location data field was blank. When I zoomed in, there was faint texture, like paper, but no words. I turned around. I don't know why. I just needed to see it again, to confirm it existed. The motel was harder to spot the second time. The sun had dipped lower. Shadows stretched across the road. For a second, I thought I'd passed it. Then I saw the sign. Only now it read, vacancy. The missing A was back, hanging slightly crooked. I slowed down. The parking lot had 2 cars in it. One was mine. The other was a dark sedan I didn't recognize. I parked beside it. The engine ticked as it cooled. I waited for someone to step out of the office. No one did. The office door was closed now, locked. I tried the handle. It didn't move. Through the dusty glass, I could see the counter. The guest book wasn't there. The corkboard was empty. The calendar was gone. The entire room looked stripped. I walked to room 14, locked. I knocked anyway. No answer. The dark sedan's windows were tinted too heavily to see inside. There was dust on its hood, thick enough to suggest it hadn't moved in weeks. I touched it. My finger left a trail. Fresh. I backed away slowly. The sky was turning that washed-out purple the desert sunsets get. Not dramatic, just faded. I got back in my car and drove until I found a gas station. It took 40 minutes. The attendant was a man in his 60s with a name tag that said Ray. I asked him about the motel. He didn't hesitate. Closed in '98, he said flatly. Fire code issues. Owner skipped town. Anyone ever go out there? He shrugged. Teenagers sometimes. Nothing there. I described the sign, the cars. He shook his head. There's no cars out there. I showed him the black photos on my phone. He squinted. Looks like you took pictures of your pocket. I didn't argue. That night, I stayed at a chain hotel in the next town over. I barely slept. Not because anything happened, because nothing did. The air conditioner hummed, ice machine clanked occasionally down the hall, a couple arguing in the room above me. Normal sounds. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw the guestbook page. My name, dated tomorrow. When morning came, I checked my phone. The photos were gone. Not deleted. The timestamps remained in my gallery. Blank thumbnails. No data attached. I drove back one last time. I needed closure. Proof. Something. The highway looked different in daylight. Less dramatic.
more ordinary. When I reached the mile marker where I thought the motel should be, there was nothing. No sign, no driveway. Just uninterrupted desert. I slowed down, checked my maps. The route history showed a straight line, no stops, no deviations. I pulled over and walked along the shoulder. There was no turnoff, no tire tracks, just sand and scrub. I stood there long enough for 2 cars to pass. Neither slowed. When I got back in my car, I checked my mileage. I had driven 312 miles since leaving home. The original route was only supposed to be 278. I don't remember taking any detours. I called the county clerk's office when I got home, asked about property records for an old motel off Highway 50. There was a pause on the line, then typing, then another pause. "We don't have any record of a motel on that stretch," the woman said. "Are you sure about the highway number?" I was. I searched online. Nothing. No archived listings, no old photos, no reviews, no mention in local history forums. It was like it had never existed. Except I could still smell the air inside the office if I thought about it long enough. Paper, metal, heat. A week later, I checked my bank account. There was a $78 withdrawal listed, cash, time-stamped the afternoon I stopped. I don't remember making it. The location field for the ATM was blank. I went through my car. Under the passenger seat, wedged against the frame, I found a brass key, stamped with the number 14. It was cold. I held it for a long time, trying to remember. There are gaps in that afternoon now, small ones, like frames missing from a film reel. I can't clearly picture driving into the parking lot or walking into the office the second time. Sometimes I wonder if I ever left the first time. If maybe I stayed. If maybe I signed the book after all. Because yesterday I opened my notebook, the one I use for work, and on the last page, in the same ink I use every day, was a single line written in my handwriting. Checked in. Room 14. Slept fine. I don't remember writing it.
The date next to it is tomorrow, and the thing I can't stop thinking about isn't the motel. It's not the missing records, or the black photos, or the extra miles on my car. It's that I still have the key, and I don't know if it's meant to let me back in, or prove that I never left.